Hello, everyone, and welcome to Kinetix, an ongoing series on the Living Science podcast, where I'll be sharing what I've learned from 17 years in private practice using partner fast release and the Kinetix mapping methodology. So in case you're new here, or maybe new to me, I'm the founder of the Kinetix methodology and the School for Living Science, and I am on a mission to bring about a renewal of science, particularly within the healing arts. So this podcast is for you if you are curious about what you will experience when you attend one of our Kinetix immersions in Colorado, as well as those of you interested in becoming or already on the path of becoming a Kinetix practitioner. On this series, we're going to be covering everything from fascia, nervous system, and pain science, how to work with people in pain, people with trauma, people on a healing journey, to the marketing, money, and legal aspects of building a thriving private practice as a Kinetix practitioner. So in today's episode, our very first, we are putting out a call to those of you who have the courage, tenacity, and devotion to become the practitioner scientists who will solve the chronic pain and disease crises of our time. No small thing. And I'm putting out this call right now because I get emails all the time, just about every single week, from people all over the world asking me if there's a Kinetix practitioner near them. So people in Australia, people in England, people in the Netherlands, people in Mexico, people all across the US, of course, and Canada. They're looking for someone who does what I do. They read my website, they read about Kinetix, they really like what they are hearing and seeing, and they want to work with someone who's doing what I do. And right now, I am the only one in the world using Kinetix in its full capacity as a methodology for mapping the whole human organism. So I'm on a mission to change that, and we're going to talk about that today, because I believe that we really need practitioners in the world. Like, the world really needs practitioners. There are people out there who really need practitioners who are willing to trade generic modalities for the skills and knowledge that will get clients answers and results starting in the very first session for the specific experience that they're having. I'm going to explain what that means on this podcast and how I can help you do that if you are inspired to take this up. So, we're going to talk about what that path looks like, why it's so radically different from the current healing arts paradigm, the mindset shift needed for us to bring about a renewal of the healing arts in this way, and then what you can expect from me if you decide to answer the call and become a Kinetix practitioner. So, Stefan, how's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah. Feeling good this morning. Went for a short little run and set up, and here we are. So I'm good. How are you?
Same. We did not run together, but I also ran this morning, and, You
were productive.
I ran. I went to the farmer's market. I had toast and tomatoes.
Breakfast pizza.
Breakfast pizza. Every time I run, when we're going to record a podcast like this, not that that happens all the time, but I do teach a lot online, or I write emails, and every time I go running, right before I have to write an email or teach a class about Kinetix or fascia or pain or anything, it's always like on my mind while I'm running, like, whoa, there's a time when I couldn't run, and I couldn't run for 8 years. And that's what I really wanted to be able to do. Running represented freedom to me. I couldn't run because of knee pain. I couldn't hike because of knee pain. And today, I've been running pain-free and without any fear of pain since 2011, which is amazing. So,
do you ever wonder if it's maybe I lucked out and one day?
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
No, but there was a period of about a year after I first had this profound healing transformation in 2011. Not going to tell that story today. But using Kinetix and this mapping methodology, it was born that summer through that experience. But yeah, there was a period of about a year where it was like, is this for real? Like you were just saying, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I had a pretty profound experience hiking all over, I haven't told the story in a long time, actually. I'm not going to tell the full thing today, but
You're talking about
but
the Tetons?
yeah, where I drove my car, took 30 days and camped out of my car, and then hiked like 300 miles in 30 days. So I did a ton of hiking. Maybe it was a little long. I kept going and was trying to count the mileage, but around 200 to 300 miles in a 30-day period. So tons of hiking.
Yeah.
And yeah, it finally dawned on me, holy crap, I have no fear of pain. Like knee pain specifically.
You were all by yourself.
I was by myself. Yeah. So, so where are we going to start here? Obviously, Stefan, you're here with me, and we're going to figure out what you might have to say about this. I have no idea what you're going to say about any of this.
Me either.
So the first thing I maybe want to actually address is what exactly is a kinetics practitioner?
Be a good start.
And, this is interesting because I've never called myself a kinetics practitioner.
Yeah.
I'm just the only one using the kinetics mapping methodology. And so first, I maybe want to even just share that this is my perspective of what a kinetics practitioner is, me being currently the only one really doing it.
In the full
Sense of what it means. But I'll take this opportunity to also share, you obviously, you're probably, everything I'm going to share today already.
I don't know.
Well, maybe not. But I don't believe in titles. I think titles are meaningless. So that's actually the first thing I want to share is that the title, kinetics practitioner, the title doesn't mean anything at all. Nothing. If you were to, those of you listening, if you're curious about kinetics and you might want to become, quote, a kinetics practitioner, well, first of all, no one knows what that means because it's so new in the world. If you were to say, I'm a massage therapist or I'm a chiropractor, people would know what that means, generically speaking.
Yeah.
It's a modality. If someone says I'm a massage therapist, then probably there's a good chance that if you were their client, you'd be getting naked and getting on a massage table, and then, they put their hands on you and give you a massage of some kind.
Yeah.
And maybe they specialize in certain types, different modalities. And there are obviously many types of massage. But
hey, just really quick before we get too carried away, I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi actually.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad you remembered to do that.
Okay. Let's not get cooked. Sorry, carry on.
Well, so yeah, Wi-Fi can significantly affect fascia in a negative way.
We'll talk a lot about that for sure.
Yeah, but maybe not on this one. Although, who knows? Maybe someone out there listening would want to specialize in electromagnetic poisoning.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to help people who have EMF sensitivity or EMF poisoning symptoms, and maybe you want to work with them because we can do a lot with that with kinetics. So
I agree. And yeah, unfortunately, I think it's going to become more and more pervasive. So
yeah. Okay. So what is a kinetics practitioner?
Yeah.
The title is meaningless. I could care less if anyone ever calls themselves a kinetics practitioner. It's great marketing for me, I suppose, but only if you're good at what you do and you do something extraordinary. Because if you're just one of many people stepping on people, and some people get out of pain and some don't, and some are helped and some are harmed and some have nothing happen at all, then you're not a good marketing, postcard for me and kinetics. So I know titles are meaningless. It's who you are and what you're doing with it that actually matters. So that's what I want to define. A kinetics practitioner is somebody who makes a unique promise to one person using one method, the kinetics method. So, as an example, the promise that I've been making my clients since 2011 is I help you do what you love without pain or fear of pain. I help you do what you love without pain or fear of pain. Sometimes I'll say I help people get out of pain, but I prefer the way I just said it. I help you do what you love without pain or fear of pain. That's really what I do. And so as an example of that, that was my story. We were just talking a little bit about it. When people like me experience chronic pain and go through years and years of pain that prevents them from doing something they love, there's usually, I've never met someone who doesn't meet this, archetype, but I'll leave room for a possibility that there are people who aren't like this out there. But typically, there's a fear of pain that comes along with it.
Yeah.
And so even when you get pain-free, like I did, we were just talking about, there's kind of this worry, like, is it going to come back? Like, is it really gone? Is it gone for good? Like, what if it does come back? What will I do? And so I really am passionate about helping people not only do what they love without pain, but also without fear of pain. And that's a whole process of helping people work through that, because fear of pain is a real mind, body, psychological, nervous system, fascia, whole body experience.
Well, what comes to mind for me is that's something that you can take with you, but it's kind of, I think most people would agree, it's unlikely that if you have, like, I'm 34, I've had knee pain. I don't think that's probably going to be the last pain I ever have in my life. So it makes sense that learning how to work with fear of pain would be a much better move.
Yes, exactly. And what's so cool about this is, like, it might have only been knee pain, but when I lost my fear of knee pain, that translated to my fear of all pain like that in my body.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, just to clear, just for the record, because some people might not believe me when I say I have no fear of pain, I'm definitely afraid of something like getting a car accident and having my leg severed, like that kind of, or getting my, leg mangled, or, skiing and falling and having, nope, I'm definitely, still have some fear of pain.
Yep.
But like joint pain, knee pain, back pain, hip pain, shoulder pain, tendonitis, bursitis, all the itises, soft tissue pain, I have no fear of any of that kind of pain or injury pain. Rolled ankles, sprained ankles. I ruptured my MCL in 2020. Yep. And so, okay. So a Kinetix practitioner is somebody who can make a unique promise. Like I just explained mine, I help you do what you love without pain or fear of pain. And then you actually deliver on that promise starting the very first session. And so how this is different, and it's going to take this whole episode and probably many more episodes to fully unpack what's so different about this, and this way of doing things and the Kinetix methodology and this way of working with clients and, living science and the actual method and what it is. It's going to take probably many episodes to unpack all of this, but that's why it's an ongoing series. But oh shit, I lost my train of thought. What was I just saying?
Well, you were just saying it's going to take a while to unpack why Kinetix is different, basically, which makes sense. It's very different. One thing, I'll save you here a little bit. One thing that's coming to mind for me that I think you touched on, but you didn't fully hash out is, like, why are titles so meaningless?
Oh. Well, okay, I'll answer that and hope my train of thought comes back. And if not, I'll just pick up from my notes. Titles are meaningless because, let's say I'm in pain. I was in pain,
yeah,
and I was looking for help. And I went to practitioners who have titles. So I went to, quote, massage therapists. I went to chiropractors. I went to Rossiter people, which is the modality of fascial stretching that I learned in 2008. So they have a title, but what they do generally is they've been trained, that's how they got the title, to apply a generic modality to all bodies equally. and then just hope for the best, hope it works.
Yeah.
And if you go to the websites of most of these people, it gives you a huge list of bullet points, and it says, myofascial massage therapy or chiropractic can help with, and then a huge list of issues. And so you're like, it can help. Not
Well,
like it will help.
a lot of websites don't even have that.
Yeah, or they don't have that. And so like, if I'm in pain and I go to a massage therapist, this is almost always what happened when I used to go to massage therapists before I really knew better than to take pain to massage therapists usually without knowing what to ask for anyway, is like if I have back pain, they would go straight to my back and massage my back. Or if I say, yeah, I have neck pain, shoulder tension, they'll go straight to my neck and shoulders. They have a tendency to go to the pain and think that it needs to be rubbed or adjusted, or, same with chiropractors. I've been to them, if I have back issues, they're going to adjust my back. And what I know now is that pain is usually not where, like the source of the pain is usually not where the pain is happening.
Yeah.
But they're not putting people through a method of diagnostics to know why someone is in pain. Now, some might argue that, chiropractors do because they take x-rays. That's not a diagnostic, in my opinion, for something like pain. And I'll tell you why. I have a 15-degree scoliosis curve in my back, and sure, that might have something to do with things that I feel in my back sometimes, but it's way more complicated than that. Do I have a 15-degree scoliosis curve actually because of glute muscles not firing and other muscles taking over to compensate, for example? So...
Or like what you just talked about, one of your past clients on a live class that we did. And it was basically all legs, even though his back was the problem, quote.
Yeah. So we're in the healing arts generally applying generic modalities to all bodies equally. We learn lots of tricks and lots of new, techniques and protocols and processes and breath work and meditation and mantras and oils and, raindrop therapy. And I'm not trying to make fun of anyone. I'm just saying we're not being scientific about it, and we're not getting people answers. And if you can't get people answers, I don't see how you can get them permanently out of pain, like a complete transformation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we talked about this on a previous episode or not, but one thing that always comes up for me around this is like, if you don't know why, then maybe it was just magic. How do you know it's going to
So
who did that? What did that?
Yeah, so I do want to be clear that a lot of these modalities do get people relief and sometimes even complete resolution. Mm-hmm. Maybe they're out of pain completely, but that person usually doesn't know why it worked.
You brought up the example before of this in a relationship. You want to share that? Because I think it's a great example. It like when you say it that way, it's like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, look, it's not an across the board rule by any means, but a lot of I've just learned in my own life and also with many of my clients, we don't want to let go of our pain till we know why it happened.
Yeah. And
so if we get a spontaneous result, but we don't know why we feel better, like why did that work? It kind of freaks us out and we get a little suspicious, and it's almost more alarming than the pain itself. Mm-hmm. And that fear of pain and the fear of it coming back might get very heightened in this scenario because we don't know why it worked. Because when you know why something worked, then you know you're not suspicious about it. You're not going to be like, is it going to come back? Because you'll know why it worked.
Yeah.
And so you can predict the future when you know why. And when you can predict the future, you feel at ease. You don't have this, uncertainty. Like something could come out of the, come at me from the future and whack me over the head, and I'll be totally taken by surprise. So yeah, the metaphor I like to give is, if you imagine you're in a relationship and things have been rocky for a while, like you're in conflict all the time and fighting all the time and, not really able to resolve things, this I would equate to what you might feel like if you're in a body that is in pain. So chronically. So you and your body are in a conflict. Things aren't going so well. You're not able to move forward and just kind of do what you love and feel happy and at ease. And then if you were to imagine that suddenly your partner just starts treating you like unbelievably well. And they come in every day and they're like, "Hi, my love. How are you? What can I do for you?" And they start doing everything you've ever asked them to do out of the blue.
What are you on?
Yeah. Like you would get really suspicious.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "This is great, but are you cheating on me?" So I think we want to know why. And I believe we need to know why in the healing arts. Like, I think it's a missing piece for me. I think it's a travesty and a tragedy that people in the quote alternative healing arts just forgo science and typically tend towards the woo side of things, and kind of the mystery side of things, and then of course on the Western medicine side of things, there's so much harm being done.
Yeah.
And when they give you a diagnosis, it usually comes along with a pill or a surgery, with lots of really bad side effects, and the diagnosis actually doesn't tell you why. It's just a diagnosis. So to me, knowing why is different than a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And so a kinetics practitioner,
it shouldn't be.
Yeah. So kind of going back to I think the thread that I lost, a kinetics practitioner is someone who can tell clients why, can help them understand why, which is a certain kind of diagnostic. It's not medical diagnosis. So it's kind of like, not that I think we're definitely not like cars. We can just take to the car mechanic. But if you have something going on in your car and you're not sure what it is, you want someone who can figure out why. Otherwise, you might take it somewhere and they're like, "Well, this, and this is wrong, and it's going to cost you $5,000. And and you're like, "I don't even know if that's true, but I know nothing about cars." So same thing with your body. You want to know why. I believe we deserve to know why, and we can know why. So a kinetics practitioner is someone who gets clients answers, why, starting in the very first session, and gets them results starting in the very first session. Most of the time. So I want to be clear. I believe it should be happening 80 to 90% of the time. There are going to be about 10% of clients that just don't respond or don't come back. Like it's just not for them. You're not for them because we're not for everybody. So that's kind of like in a basic nutshell what a kinetics practitioner does. And how this is different, we've already touched on a little bit from most practitioners today. Like I said, most practitioners in the healing arts are applying generic modalities to all bodies and people equally, just hoping for a result. But they couldn't tell you why it worked or why it didn't work. And I want to take this opportunity also to point out that this is like either a logical fallacy or just this is kind of the mindset shift I believe we need to adopt in the healing arts to bring about a renewal so that we can actually meet the challenge of our times, because we are hurting.
Yeah.
There are so many people with chronic pain issues. There are so many people with unhealed traumas that are affecting their body. There are so many people with chronic illness issues. There are so many of us, like I would argue almost all of us, getting affected by EMFs and not knowing it, and then getting all kinds of diagnoses and getting put on pills because of it, where we're scapegoating the body instead of looking to our environment, and looking to the relationship of each unique person to their environment. So what I want to point out, this logical fallacy, is if you, like me, perhaps want to work with people in pain, it is not enough. It is absolutely insufficient to learn a generic modality. You have to learn about pain. And I don't understand why this is lacking. This is so obvious to me, and yet it's like a glaring omission, and I'm looking around going like, why doesn't anybody see this?
When you say a generic modality, the way that I process that is like it's something that doesn't seek an underlying root cause. Like it doesn't seek to understand why. And it just, rather than seeking to understand it, it says, we know the fix to the problem you have potentially. Here's some problems we can solve here, and here's how we solve it. Or they're not even.
No, they don't even say that.
Well, you were talking earlier about like you might find somebody's website and there's a long list.
It can help with.
Right. Not will.
Not will.
They're not making a promise. They're just saying,
not.
here's a way we address some things. Or
I don't even think they say that really. I mean, they might, if they're good at marketing, they might talk a good talk and talk about the nervous system or talk about fascia or talk about fascia's relationship to the muscles and the bones and all of that. And it might sound really good because they've taken a class or they've read a book but they're regurgitating something they learned probably not from the body in most cases. But they're still applying a generic modality. Help me, like if this isn't coming across, help people.
Yeah.
Like, help me get this message across because it's so.
I just wanted to get crystal clear, like what is a generic modality? And you gave some examples.
Yes, so like massage.
Yeah.
Swedish massage. Sports massage. John Barnes myofascial release massage. Hands-on modalities like that. They're generic modalities. Because what it means is if you walk in my office and I have a generic modality and you're like, okay, I have this, and this going on. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what we can do. And then I put you on the table and I massage you. And then 60 minutes later or 90 minutes later, I come back in the room after you're fully clothed again. And we probably didn't talk much the whole time. And then I say, how are you feeling? Okay, so... And I'm expectantly waiting for you to say I feel amazing. That's what happens in my experience. Like they're hoping you say I feel great. But I've had so many terrible massages and didn't speak up during the massage when I actually really wanted to say I'd like to actually get off this table and leave the room because this is so bad. And so I just sat there, laid there and endured it. And I've had really good massages that were really enjoyable and hypnotic and put me in a completely relaxed state. And it was spa-like and wonderful. And, but it didn't help me get to know myself intimately or understand why I might be in pain.
Which there's a place for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So, and I do want to make that clear. There is a place for generic modalities that can help people relax for an hour and people love to hate me for saying things like this, but it's just what I believe. I believe it's a fact, actually. I don't think it's just my belief. Like, like I like going to the spa every once in a while, having a spa day or just getting a massage and feeling like blissed out afterwards and close my eyes and lay down and someone does all the work and I don't have to think about it. And, because Kinetix, you're using all of your faculties. Yeah. It's a very awake.
That's one thing I think people probably, it's not obvious just from looking at it. In fact, it's inobvious. It requires like, I'm not a practitioner. I would say at the best, like slightly better than a beginner. But I've been around it enough to know that it takes like all of the energy and focus that you have to bring to the situation in order to do it as well as you possibly can. It's not like you just step off of a curb and step onto someone. It's not like that. It takes a lot.
Yeah. So, well, since you brought it up, it's somewhere in my bullet points here to cover. So there's partner fascia release.
Yeah.
And the version or modality of it that I teach is compression and shearing based versus pinning and stretching versus mashing versus, there are other ways of stepping on people, ashiatsu. That is a generic modality.
Yeah.
It's something you do, with a partner, and it may or may not produce a result.
Right.
for literally everybody that does it.
Right.
But if you know how to interpret what happens during and after, then you start to have the beginnings of a methodology, a way of knowing, a system for categorizing the data,
That's the difference.
information, and that is the difference. So the mapping methodology utilizes partner fascia release, but in service of finding out why each unique person is in pain or sick or struggling with something like anxiety or dissociation or unhealed traumas, or whatever the case may be. And so it's the method is the magic. That's not magic, but it's the secret to getting answers and results starting in the very first session. All right, a quick break. And since this is the Kinetix podcast, I have a question for you. Do you want to learn partner fascia release and the Kinetix mapping methodology? Because if you do, and you haven't signed up for my free course and beginner's guide, Kinetix 101, then I would like to invite you to do that. Kinetix 101 is my free online course and interactive guide, and it is the best way to start learning kinetics today. You're going to learn 4 techniques, but more importantly, you'll learn why to use them, how to use them wisely, and what the mapping method is really about, because kinetics is a mapping methodology for discovering root causes of pain, degeneration, unhealed traumas, anxiety, autoimmune conditions, and more. Included in this course is an 8-day email course. So you are getting 6 videos that are a course on my community platform, but you'll also get emailed every day. Just a little tidbit, a small lesson where you learn about the mapping method and what exactly we're mapping and how that works. But for those of you who prefer to download and read something offline, you'll get my beginner's guide to the Kinetix methodology, which is that interactive and downloadable PDF. It'll introduce you to the mapping method, the 4 members of the human organism that are part of this mapping process. It's how we put things in their rightful place and make sense of our symptoms so we know what to do about them. And then it includes links to the 4 techniques with instructions for what to practice while learning them. And as I mentioned, there are 6 live class recordings that teach you all about fascia and its role in pain, degeneration, illness, and unhealed traumas, as well as how we use partner fascia release to resolve pain, regenerate the body, restore health, and heal our traumas through the power of partnership and collaboration. Plus, there are 5 other classes that take you on a journey through awakening the 12 senses. Yes, we have more than 5. We have at least 12. The 5 kinetic energies, liberating our witnessing powers, which is really important, and then honing ourselves into the best and most exact scientific instruments on the planet, because it is my belief that we are the scientists we've been waiting for, and we can do so much when we learn to harness all the senses and all the powers of our organism. And for those of you who are inspired to become kinetics practitioners, you'll get my guide to becoming a kinetics practitioner with all of the steps, milestones, and learning options. So I'll leave a link in the description and show notes where you can sign up if you're inspired to learn kinetics and start today.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's actually the opposite of the magic because you know why.
Exactly. And you don't always know all the reasons immediately.
I always give this example, but you don't know why, like, you came in from a past life with this karma and manifested this particular illness or something like that.
Well,
but yeah.
Yeah. And you might, but this is what I'm saying. So starting in the very first session, you begin to get each person answers and results. And that's sufficient, because if you have some answers that are making sense to that person, it's going to be such a mental relief, because it's like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Like, why didn't anybody tell me this before now? And so the unique promise is really important, because you actually can't map without it.
What do you mean by that?
Well, so I work with people in pain, and my promise is I help you do what you love without pain or fear of pain. So, and for the record, I don't believe we can just disappear pain. Like, eliminate it. So I wouldn't, a really bad promise would be, I help you not feel pain. I help you stop hurting.
Yeah.
That would be a really bad promise because it's nearly impossible to just snuff out pain. It has to get transformed. So to use the really corny saying, everything is energy, and energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only get transformed or transferred or transmuted, alchemized somehow. So it has to go through some kind of process of transference or transmutation or transformation.
You're saying to actually heal, because you can numb pain, obviously, but there's consequences, physical,
Right,
spiritual.
not the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I would hope that's obvious.
Yeah. Just clarifying.
And so, okay, so you asked the question though, like, why do you need a unique promise to map?
Yeah.
So I was saying my promise is I help you do what you love without pain or fear of pain. So let's say this is an easy example to give because it's something I could actually do with somebody in my office. But let's say somebody is a weightlifter, like an Olympic weightlifter, and that's what they love to do. And they can't squat because of back pain. So they've been unable to do their squats, their lunges, their snatches, their deadlifts, they're all the things that you would need to squat at least a little bit for a while. And they really want to be able to squat. I would put them through a mapping process during this session that included having them squat.
Mm-hmm.
And so the moment that person can squat deeper without pain, or all the way without pain, or all the way with 50% reduction in pain, we're on to something. Like, we're getting the data we need to know what exactly is going to help that person eliminate it. We might not have all the data pieces, but for example, maybe it's an imbalance left or right in their leg fascia, maybe their quads, or it could be front to back imbalances or side to side. So like IT band, left IT band is maybe more fascially restricted than the right. Maybe when they squat, they shift all their weight over to the left leg and then get up. So I'm looking for clues, not only in their fascia, but in their movement and in their mindset. I'm looking for what they believe about their body or about pain, this fear of pain that we were talking about. I also am mapping everything that we're finding in their fascial system when I'm stepping onto their injury history and their life history and anything I might know or that they might have told me about prior surgeries, or cortisone injections or accidents like falls, or whether they were a snowboarder. Like, it's kind of funny sometimes because I just was thinking of a client who I asked her repeatedly, have you ever fallen on your tailbone? She was like, no. And then finally in the fourth session, she was like, oh, but I did snowboard a lot and I fell a lot.
So only 500 times.
Yeah. And so, so again, that's an example of the data pieces don't all come immediately, even though I'm hunting for them, asking for them. And someone is like, no, I've never fallen on my tailbone. But for whatever reason, it took, weeks for this person to be like, does snowboarding count? And I'm like, what do you think? Yeah. So the mapping method involves a lot more than partner fascia release.
Yeah.
Partner fascia release is part of it, and we use partner fascia release as a curative and diagnostic process to map fascia and fascial imbalances, what might be causing muscle inhibitions, to map the nervous system, the lymph system, and the circulatory system primarily. So those are the four primary things, or five. Musculoskeletal system. That's always a mouthful for me. Can you say it easily?
Musculoskeletal?
Musculoskeletal.
I kind of bridged the two words. I don't know.
So yeah, musculoskeletal system, fascia, nervous system, lymph system, and circulatory. 5 categories that were of pretty physical things that we're mapping during the stepping. But then I'm mapping so much more than that at the same time. Like I said, their mindset, their beliefs, anything I notice that they say, whether they're breathing, not breathing, tensing, while we're doing it, or open and relaxed.
I think one of the things that is interesting about Kinetix, where I started to go like, oh, okay, this has a different kind of potential, is you get so much more information about, like, you might imagine you're stepping on someone and you might get information about whether their fascia is tight or not and how it causes pain. But it's not just what you notice, like the actual stepping causes a certain response or reaction that you can really never get outside of that context.
Definitely.
It just brings things to the surface.
Absolutely. Tons of things to the surface.
Yeah.
Which, can be really confronting.
Sure.
But is also a really good thing if you actually want to know.
Yeah.
Like if you actually want to know what's inside.
Yeah.
What are you really afraid of? What is stored there that you haven't looked at? Because it will come out. Yeah. Or not, but you'll know even subconsciously that it could come out, and maybe you're not ready to look at it. And so it won't come up and out, but there will be a block of some kind in those cases.
So one of the things that comes up for me, and this may be a bit of a derailment, but one of the things that comes up for me is like, well, how do you know that is objectively theirs that's coming up, and it's not like people have said to you before, yeah, it hurts, you're stepping on me. And so it's like, how do you know that you're tuned in and what they're experiencing is actually theirs, like the client, what the partner,
this
what
is
they're
sort of a
experiencing
derailment.
is theirs. Cool.
We could have many of them today, I'm sure. I do kind of want to stay on track.
Okay.
But I will say that is part of the art of practitionership, is knowing what's you versus your client.
Yeah.
So all of you empaths out there, you got some work to do. And that empathic nature is a superpower. But if you're constantly literally feeling what other people are feeling, then you may not know whether it's yours or not yours, where you end and other people begin. And that's very critical if you're going to be a practitioner who can do what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the art of practitionership in other episodes. So maybe we'll talk about just some other examples of unique promises. But then I want to go into what we're offering that's so different in terms of, like, you and I are trying to create a new model for the healing arts, a new model for adult learning in the healing arts specifically, that is pretty radically different, which is why I want to record all these podcasts, because we're breaking the mold, and people may not know what that means or what exactly we're offering because we're breaking the mold. So, other examples. And if you can think of any, let me know. Or if you, this would maybe be where I would love it if you chimed in, if you naturally want to, on the examples of other unique promises. If you have questions about that, or.
Well, I mean, one thing you've asked me before, like if I was a practitioner, what mine would be, and it would be something to the effect of, I help people learn to be in their bodies so that they can take themselves everywhere they go. So one of my challenges has been staying in my body dissociation. So that's an example. What would another example be?
Yeah,
I was just going to say, you worked with a whole group of people on this, and I'm just curious. I know it was a challenge in some ways for people.
This is really hard for people, and so this is why I want to talk about it. This is, for whatever reason, this is really, really, really hard for people in the healing arts.
Well, I think it goes to everything that you talked about around going first, and like we haven't really gotten into this yet, but the unique promise being connected to your story.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, or I want to.
Yeah.
It's in the bullet points.
All right. Are we there yet?
So other examples of unique promise. I'll just throw a few out there so you guys have an idea. But as Stefan just alluded to, and we'll get to in a little bit here, I believe your unique promise should come out of your story. And it should be a promise you make to people like you once you've gotten through something and you're on the other side of it.
Yeah.
That was my story. So I had knee pain that was preventing me from hiking and running for 8 years. But along with that, I had a whole lot of trauma that was affecting my body and systemic tension and fear of pain. And so I tend to attract people who relate to my story. So I have my story on my website. A lot of you listening might be one of those people. You just relate to me and my story. And maybe you feel like, wow, if she could do that for herself, maybe she can help me. And I would much rather go to somebody as a practitioner who's been through something similar to what I've been through, gotten to the other side, and got to the other side in a way I would want to get to the other side.
Yeah.
That's really important because there are lots of people who, let's say, have knee pain and they got to the other side by surgery. But that is not the way I want to get to the other side of it. And so the way I wanted to get to the other side of it was I wanted to know why. I wasn't going to be willing to let go of my pain until I knew why I was in pain. And so I needed a way of knowing why. I wanted to work with people who could help me figure out why. That never happened. So I had to figure it out on my own. And I did have a little help from my friends. Shout out to Joe Cogger. Thinking of my dad right now. With a little help from my friends. You don't know that stuff.
Don't know who that is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe we can cut to me being glazed over. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. I'm tracking.
So this is now what I want to help practitioners do. I want to help you get to the other side of something, through something, and to the other side of it with kinetics. Because, for example, if you're on the other side of something now, but you got there with something totally not kinetics, but then you want to use kinetics to help people get to the other side of it, that's going to be a weird mismatch to me because you didn't have the experience of getting to the other side of it with kinetics.
Yeah.
So it should be something that you want to get to the other side of with kinetics. And then you'll, after you get to the other side of it, turn around and help other people. So other examples that I could think of right now would be things like I help people wake up with vitality and enthusiasm to live their purpose every day, full of energy. I'm fumbling it a bit because it's not my promise. Yeah. I'm pulling it out. But that's going to appeal to somebody who has chronic fatigue syndrome, who feels tired all the time, who has lack of motivation and drive maybe, who doesn't understand why they just wake up groggy and bleh, and they would really like to wake up, feeling alive and vital and full of energy. Or I help athletes prevent injuries and optimize their bodies for athletic performance. You could even get it really specific if you wanted to. Like I help ballerinas prevent injuries and optimize their bodies for athletic performance and longevity in their sport.
Yeah, that makes more sense in a way because that's clearly like probably somebody's unique story.
Exactly. And so, yeah, if you want to help ballerinas, if you want to help bikers, if you want to help hikers, if you want to help runners, like a runner is going to want to work with a runner who has pain that's preventing them from running.
Yeah.
They're like, you'll get me. That's going to be the feeling like you're going to get me. And I want to work with someone who gets me. So hopefully that's kind of making sense. And that is radically different from I'm a massage therapist.
Yeah.
I'm a breathwork coach. I'm a somatic therapist. I'm a psychotherapist.
Yeah, for sure.
Those are all just titles that are meaningless. But here's the catch. To become someone who can make that kind of a unique promise takes time. It takes tenacity. It takes devotion, maybe even a bit of obsession. That's certainly been the case for me. And so my obsession was pain. Like, I wanted to understand pain fully. And so this is, again, the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if you're going to work with people in pain, you should know pain intimately. Like, you should know about pain, what it is, what it isn't, why it happens, what its nature and purpose is, what its, psychological, neurological, physiological mechanisms are.
One of the things that you've said before as well, this feels maybe like sort of a bit of a paradox, but one of the things I've heard you say before is like, and I'm going to botch this, but we have to know what a human being is in order to help a human being, right? If like someone in pain. What is it that you say all the time? I'm missing it now.
Oh, are you talking about the first principle? To understand, no. I must have missed something.
Well, that's okay.
I just remembered though that I forgot to. So you asked me a question earlier about like, why do you need to have a unique promise to do the mapping method?
Yeah.
And I talked about the Olympic lifter who wants to squat and can't squat. So that's going to be a very different. I want to finish that thread because I realized I didn't. So that would be a very different mapping process than if I want to help somebody wake up every day with energy.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be mapping for very different phenomena and very different clues and puzzle pieces when someone can't squat because of back pain versus I'm tired all the time and I don't know why.
Yeah, so it's individual every time.
Yes, but also like it's always individual. That's for sure. And I want to talk about that. But I'm saying like if my unique promise has to do with pain, not people waking up tired all the time.
Right.
So if I am the practitioner who decides, like maybe one of you listening right now is like, that's me. I wake up tired every day. I'm sick of it. I really want to have energy and I don't understand why. Maybe, I believe it's possible to figure out why with Kinetix. That's the power of this mapping methodology. And so if you were to get on the other side of that, you would have understanding because of our obsession here with why. You would know why you had been waking up tired all the time for so long. Mm-hmm. And that would give you insight and a foundation for helping other people because even though we're all different and no two people are going to be tired every day for the same reason, just like no two people are going to be in pain for the exact same reasons, but there are patterns. So there are patterns to people in pain. There are going to be patterns to people who are tired all the time. There are going to be patterns to people with anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. So once you start to learn the patterns, you have a foundation from which you can begin to make a unique promise or at least start to work with those kinds of people. But that's a very different thing to map for than pain. So, anxiety or being tired all the time. So I just wanted to point that out and finish that. And at this point, I am working more with people like that. Like I'm working with someone like that right now myself, but that's only after, 15, 16 years of doing this, where people specifically seek me out because they've listened to me on podcasts or found my YouTube channel and read about me. And they're like, I think you could help me with this other thing. It's not like,
well, it makes sense too, because in your own life, that's happening more and more, like grappling with illness, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And so what's going to happen when you make a unique promise? Those of you listening, I've had so many conversations with practitioners where they're like, I just want to help everybody. Anybody who needs help, I want to help them.
Yeah.
You're not going to help anybody very well. You might be really kind. You might hold good space. You might have a big heart. You might even be skilled technically at something. But you're not actually going to be able to help people know why they are the way they are and get to the other and help 80 to 90% of your clients get to the other side of something starting in the very first session. If you want to help everybody, it's impossible. Yeah. It's kind of, if you think about Like this is the mindset shift and the radical difference I want to present to people with the School for Living Science and the Path to Practitioner with Kinetix is, even though I have so many complaints about the medical model, the Western medical model and the Western medical system, there is wisdom in the way that they've set up the education process. I'm not saying like the content is ideal. And this isn't, I'm not trying to criticize it today, but I'm just trying to make a point. So you know, if you want to become a medical doctor, you go through a whole bunch of, preparatory courses that prepare you to then eventually declare a specialty.
Yeah.
But you're learning general knowledge if I were to apply it to us, general knowledge of the whole human organism. They're learning general knowledge of, biology and physiology according to Western science and the medical system. And then eventually you declare a specialty. And, try to imagine right now, even though I hate the idea of specialists in a lot of ways, and I think becoming experts in one part of the body is kind of absurd, I do think that specializing in phenomena is a good idea.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
a principle that's kind of had the life sapped out of it, but
Yeah.
you see it show up.
And so, but if you think about it, like, just imagine saying, I want to go to a doctor who can help with everything that might ever happen to me. Like, if I get an emergency, he's going to be my emergency doctor or she.
God's your doctor.
Yeah, like, they don't exist.
Yeah.
And so we have to focus. Otherwise, because we can't do everything at once. We can't do everything. We can do a lot, but we can't do everything. And when we have to focus our efforts for learning, otherwise we won't be learning anything specific. We'll just learn generalities. And that's the generic practitioner.
But at the same time, this is sort of the point that I think I was trying to bring up earlier that I didn't do so eloquently was there has to be a base level of understanding of what a human being is
Yes.
as well. Like you brought that up with Western medicine. They have that.
I think you were trying to point to the first principle.
Maybe I was, yeah. Maybe I was.
To understand the human body, we have to know what a human being is. Is that what
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, if it's not the first principle, I don't.
I had it flipped in my mind, so I was conflating it with something else. Yeah.
Yeah. So phenomena are things like chronic pain. Chronic pain is a phenomenon. Sluggish blood or difficulty detoxing is a phenomenon. Waking up tired every day is a phenomenon. Chronic fatigue, phenomenon. Anxiety, a phenomenon. So I am a fan of having practitioners specialize in a phenomenon because you can learn so much in a way shorter amount of time than you can possibly imagine if you focus that specifically. Mm-hmm. And then something really cool will happen because you'll realize, I chose to work with people dealing with chronic pain, but what has ended up happening, because this makes sense, is that I get people in chronic pain who also have an autoimmune condition. Or I get people with chronic pain who have, a traumatic brain injury. Or I get people in chronic pain who wake up tired every day. Or I get people in chronic pain who have social anxiety and unhealed traumas. And so I've been, quote, specializing in chronic pain for 17 years, but I've seen all kinds of other things. And so you are going to work with all kinds of people. Because it's not like, if you specialized in chronic fatigue syndrome, for example, or people who are tired all the time, you're going to get people who are tired who have pain.
Yeah.
And people who are tired who have trauma, and people who are tired who don't have trauma, and people who are tired who are young and old, and some are on medications, and some have had surgeries, and, like on and on and on and on.
So we can't help everyone.
No, but but if you focus, you will get to work with such a wide variety of people while being able to actually start to get answers and results for the one thing someone's coming to you for. But in the process, you're going to learn about all those other things too, and how Kinetix can help those other things. But it's not your declared specialty. It's not your promise. And so your office will become a living lab like mine.
It's interesting. What goes through my mind is like business understands this for sure. You hear people talking about niching all the time,
Yep.
but it hasn't seemed to translate.
No, and this is also why practitioners in the healing arts aren't making money.
Yeah.
Not good money anyway.
Yeah.
And I want you to make good money. If you're a practitioner who has devoted time and effort into gaining skills and knowledge and you genuinely want to help people and your heart is in the right place, like I want you to make good money. You're only going to make good money if you can help people get answers and results. If you can do that, though, you can charge way more money, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the amount of money that generic practitioners charge.
Yeah.
And people will be happy to pay you.
Yeah. Yep.
So, just checking my bullet points here. Yeah, so titles, certificates. So I just want to, I don't believe in titles, but I haven't said this yet on this podcast. And so I want to do that here. We don't offer titles. So if you want to call yourself a kinetics practitioner, you can, if you learn kinetics. I don't care. But again, like I said, I think it's meaningless. So I don't confer the title upon you. And I don't give out certificates or pieces of paper. So there is no certification available here. If you have questions about that, please submit them. We'll record episodes on that. But I'm not going to go too deep into that today. We don't offer tests, graduation dates, or programs of any kind. And I do want to talk about that today because that is the thing that I think is confusing people a bit as I've shifted into this conviction and then figured out how to actually provide a path that is a path that I believe will get you where you want to go if you want to become a practitioner who gets answers and results starting the very first session and you want to use kinetics to do that, whether you call yourself a kinetics practitioner or not. We're developing a model that aims to meet you where you're at each step of the way. That the reason we don't have graduation dates and we don't offer programs is because in my opinion, I couldn't teach you everything I wanted or offer the mentorship needed to help you get where you want to go in 1 year or honestly even 2 years. I'm still learning 17 years later. So I wanted to create a school that would never end. I mean, I'm going to die someday, but maybe it'll continue beyond me. Who knows?
Yeah.
Where we're learning with each other until our curiosity fades. And that is the only time we should stop learning.
Well, I think when you said that, and I was thinking earlier, one of the issues, and this has been so hard for me to even just like get on board with, but I mean, I grew up in, my parents were public school teachers. I was a good boy, and I wanted to get the outcome, make the grades, have the piece of paper, as it were. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I think I'm not exactly sure where I was going with this, but it's hard. It's really hard, especially when you're not used to learning in that context, to go like, oh, this is actually a better way. And what we've experienced is, this is what I was going to say. What we've experienced is like, it taints the whole learning process if there's an outcome at the end of it, like a carrot dangled here, and like everyone is aiming at that then, and so it taints the learning process and the love of it. Yes.
So I believe that if you're not intrinsically interested in the human organism, in the phenomena you've chosen to study, like I'm fascinated by pain. Fascinated. Absolutely, utterly fascinated. I read about it, study it, think about it in my free time. So like...
That's true.
pain and freedom to be specific, like
Yeah.
the nature of pain, like the purpose of it, the true nature and purpose of it, which is intimately linked to freedom. This is so fascinating to me. And so like I could learn about this for the rest of my life and never, ever, ever get bored.
Yeah.
And so like if you're not intrinsically interested in what what you need to learn to help people, you shouldn't do it. Like if you're not fascinated by the human organism or by why people are tired. Like I don't find that fascinating.
So
Necessarily, right? Like I'm fascinated by the human organism, but I wouldn't want to specialize in people who are tired as my one thing. But other people might, because you've lived it and because it's so close to you and because it's been so confounding and you're like, but I want to get to the bottom of it and understand it and then help people like me.
I was about to ask kind of a hypothetical question about this, but I think you just answered it in a way. And it's like, if you're someone like me or most of us who grew up in kind of like an outcome-based environment that sort of zapped the love out of learning in a way, like how do you develop innate, inherent love and interest in something? But I think you just said your life is your curriculum, basically. Like what inspires you or what is painful or both?
Yeah, not everybody wants to learn about the thing they feel oppressed by.
Yeah.
But
It's intense.
if you're in pain, for example, like I was for so many years, and you don't want to know about pain, then you're kind of saying, I don't want to know about myself. I don't want to know about my body. I just want it gone.
Yeah.
And I could go off on a whole tangent because I love talking about pain and freedom. Yeah. But yeah, so we're building a model to get us back on track. We're building a model where we really want to encourage you to find your next right steps by looking within instead of looking to me, the teacher, for those next steps. Because, you might think that you need a program to feel prepared to work with people in a private practice, for example. But go talk to people who just graduated from Naropa University, for example, this year, and I'll bet you anything that 80 to 90% of them feel unprepared.
Yeah.
Go talk to a massage therapist who just graduated and is working in a chiropractor's office with people in pain, if they're prepared to help these people in debilitating pain. They're not. That was me. I was utterly unprepared to actually help real people with real pain with massage. Like massage school did not prepare me one bit. So I had the title, I had the certificate, and I had the license. And I was utterly unprepared. In fact, I had been told, you don't help people like that. That's for physical therapists and doctors. The best you can do is bring some relief to them while they're on the table.
Because it was outside of your
Yes.
scope of practice.
Correct.
Legally.
Exactly. So that's another thing I guess I want to touch on here since it got brought up, is I'm unlicensed by choice, and I'm an advocate of only if you can source the authority from within to be unlicensed. Don't do it because I'm doing it. Don't be a follower and, don't just do it because Elisha's doing it. But I am advocating, this is part of my mission to bring about a renewal of the healing arts. I believe one of the only ways we are going to bring about a renewal of the healing arts is to realize the limiting nature of our licenses and to step outside that system and to create a different system.
Yeah.
And so I'm unlicensed by choice because I want the freedom to address the whole human organism, to address pain, to address diseases, to address trauma and emotions and the mind-body connection. I want the freedom to address whatever comes up for my clients, because I believe it's all connected and we're whole organisms. There is no actually specializing in parts, really. You have to know something about a part, you have to know about the whole. And so mentorship will be available for those of you who are curious about how to do this lawfully and legally, because it's perfectly lawful and legal when you know how to do it. To be unlicensed, it's not illegal, for the record. It is illegal to be a massage therapist with a license who helps massage therapy clients with emotional issues. That is illegal.
Yeah.
At least in the United States.
Or for a psychotherapist to touch someone in something in a way that
Right.
borders on massage.
Right, or work with their physical pain physically when they also have trauma. That would be illegal.
Yeah.
They're supposed to refer to someone who specializes in pain. But pain people don't know anything about trauma in the medical system for the most part.
I think it's changing to some degree, but yeah.
Yeah. So anything else I don't think there's anything else I want to say about that.
That was your last bullet point. Well,
That was just
that was the intro.
I have a lot of bullet points. I mean, this might be one of our longer episodes here. Yeah. So anything coming up so far for you, Stefan, that you feel like I haven't fleshed out fully?
Nothing of like real substance. I wrote a note about one thing that feels like a small potential tangent, but nothing that felt really important.
Okay. Well, I hope this is clear so far to those of you listening and interested. If it isn't in any way, please let me know. Because I realize that I'm saying things that kind of break people's brains. For example, I'll give you an example of something that recently I think broke someone's brain. I was talking to someone interested in coming to a Kinetix immersion, and she's a practitioner. And I told her that this Kinetix immersion, KNT1, is not a professional training. And she said, "Oh, I guess that this isn't for me then. So when is the professional training?" So I would like to address this issue also today. We're building a model that focuses on you, the individual human being, going first. So I absolutely abhor the common practice in the healing arts of teachers of modalities putting on trainings and workshops, and I've attended many of these, where we, the students, are taught how to work on, not with, to work on, to perform techniques on those people out there called clients.
Yeah.
As if we're better than them, separate from them, different from them, above them somehow. I don't know. There's like this attitude of like, oh, well, and I'm not making this mean something about the person I just talked to, but it's like, oh, if it's not a professional training, well, it's not for me then. Because there's this assumption we have that if it's a professional training, then we're going to learn how to work on our clients. Mm-hmm. And so this is really a radical...
That does have to happen. At some...
sort of.
In a way.
Here's what I mean. So our immersions, KNT1, are the starting place of all practitioners. Anyone who wants to use Kinetix in a professional capacity. But they are for you to work on you. Because it is my very firm conviction that if you don't know what it's like to be stepped on, to be the client, to be a person, not a professional, to be a human with a body who has traumas maybe, or some unhealed wounds, perhaps relational wounds, and some personal challenges around maybe communication, verbal communication, energy, or maybe you're self-conscious about, yourself in some way. I mean, I don't care who you are, you're going to have something to work on. Maybe it is actually pain or degeneration or something like that. So this KNT1 immersion is for you to work on you. It's for you to get to know your body in this way with kinetics, with the mapping method and partner fascia release, with other students also getting to know themselves in this way, who are also there to work on themselves.
Yeah.
And this is a radical, I don't know of anything else that exists like this. Maybe it exists out there. I'm not sure. Where we're blurring the edges and, blurring the line between professional training and healing retreat. It's not a healing retreat. Like, you're not just going to get pampered and it's all about you. You are actually also learning to work with other people.
Yeah.
You're learning to do the stepping as well, which is also a huge, if you want to learn about yourself,
Yeah.
try stepping on people.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been even more confronting.
It is for most people.
Yeah.
Where most of us would much rather be hurt than hurt people.
Yeah.
That's good news about humanity, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so getting stepped on can hurt. For most people, it hurts. Unhealthy fascia hurts when it's stepped on. It can hurt for other reasons, but it can be intense. So these immersions are for you to work on you, and they're for you to get through the other side of something with kinetics. And so maybe this will be a good segue for the path, because I wanted to answer the question today for those of you curious. What exactly does this path to practitioner look like, since we don't have programs, graduation dates, and these immersions aren't professional trainings? So first of all, I want to cover some practicals. I know that not everybody has the money to do it all in one fell swoop, or to do as much as you can. So part of the way we've designed this is to meet each person where they're at financially, as well as in other ways. And so we want you to come experience kinetics for yourself before deciding, yes, I want to do this in a professional capacity. So we're not going to ask you to commit to, say, a 2-year or 4-year program where you're going to get $30,000 in debt, right off the bat without ever having tried it.
Yeah.
So we want you to be able to come and try it. And if you decide, this isn't for me, actually, well, great. I love that you know that, because it's not for everybody. And so we want you to be able to experience it without committing to an expensive program, because I have done that in the past. We've done 1-year programs that were $12,000 and very committing financially, because they also had to fly and buy hotel rooms and or Airbnbs and food. And so they were probably going to get, they were probably spending $20,000 over the course of a year or more.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't for some people. And so they dropped off.
Yeah. It's not for everyone. But I would say, like, it's almost impossible, if you're open to it, to not learn a lot about yourself.
Yes. And that is, again, I just want to point to the mindset shift. Learning about yourself and about the human organism is the point in the beginning.
Yeah.
The point isn't to learn a technique that you can apply to bodies to magically disappear pain.
Yeah.
The point is to learn. And if you can learn, if you love learning, and you're open to learning, even if it's really uncomfortable information, like, oh, crap, there's that pattern of mine getting in the way of me healing, or of me doing this thing that I said I wanted to do called kinetics, like my pattern of self-sabotage, or my pattern of fear of freedom, or my pattern of fear of success, or my pattern of social anxiety, or my pattern of I don't think I'm a good communicator, and so I'm just going to not say anything.
Yep.
So, like, if you can learn from what's coming up, you can transform it. You can get through it. You can transmute it, transform it, transfer it, whatever the case may be. Some things we don't want to transfer. So part of it is financial, practical, is just kind of going back to the path. You are welcome to come to a K&T immersion. And if you're already an established practitioner with clients already, maybe you're a massage therapist or a personal trainer or whatever, it is up to you to look into the legal side of things. So just for the record. But you can use what you learn in any way you see fit, because I do not want you outsourcing authority to me or asking me permission for anything. Anything like that anyway. So you can come to one immersion and maybe learn some things that you want to take home and utilize in a professional capacity. You can, if you want to. But if you want to be the kind of practitioner that I'm talking about and you want mentorship from me to get there, there's a path that we've laid out. And so that path looks like coming to one KNT1 and then deciding, is this for you? Like, do you love it? Are you really excited about it? Is it what you've been looking for yourself? And if it is, then your next steps would be come back to a KNT1 within a year and a half. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment, because maybe you're wondering, why do I need to come back to the same event? And then alongside that would be to complete 1 year in the School for Living Science. So the school is online. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it in this episode, but it is for gaining self-knowledge of your whole human organism, learning esoteric physiology, psychology, pneumatology, human physics. There are basically 4 sciences that you're going to learn over the course of the year. And then they repeat year after year after year, but it's not the same repeated content, because that's not how I teach. So living science is very different. I don't know if you want to comment on this.
We've tried to fit things neatly into programs, and
I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's
in a lot of ways, practically, it would be easier, better, more understandable, easier to sell, and it doesn't work. Not for you, and not for what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So the way that I like to teach is I like to teach to, for, and with the unique individuals that happen to be there at that time. And I there's a way that I can intuit and feel, kind of psychically, I guess, who's in the school, who who's going to be on Zoom, who is there maybe watching replays, but who's here with me, and what do they need as a group. And so I base my teaching on what I intuit that the group needs. But then I also like it to be a co-creation. So based on what happens week to week, I might change it up because I'm paying attention, and I'm nimble, and I'm adaptable to whatever's coming up for people. Like if I sense that someone isn't understanding what's happening, or they ask a really good question, I'm like, wow, that is such a good question. It has me thinking of like this whole class I could teach on that I hadn't planned on teaching. Then I might swap out the class I had planned on teaching for whatever came up. And so every year will be different. Every class is different. I don't operate from like scripts and neat and tidy textbook type material. And I'm utterly uninterested in pouring information over you that you're supposed to memorize. So it's the School for Living Science. And what I'm really interested in doing in the school is modeling what it looks like to think with reality, and then doing that with you, with students, with people, which you've seen happen to some degree.
Yeah.
And so it is a co-creation. But it is for you to get to know yourself, and to know, to get to know why pain happens for you, why you're sick, if you're sick, why you are the way you are psychologically, relationally, socially, to look at those patterns, but in a really living and dynamic way using these 4 sciences.
Not just to get the pain away or
Exactly.
to get the illness away.
Exactly.
But to understand.
Yes. Yep. So the school is for learning the living sciences. So learning living science as a way of knowing, and then learning these 4 sciences that we use when we map the whole human organism with kinetics. But the school is not kinetics. It doesn't teach kinetics. It teaches the 4 sciences that I've been using kind of intuitively and unconsciously, that I've pulled out of what I've been doing and categorized. So I guess I'll name them because I kind of did, but not officially, just so people know in this episode. So there's pneumatology, which is the science of the human spirit or I being. There's human chemistry, which is the science of the etheric body and the fluids of the body, and how they dissolve, separate, mix various elements and chemicals, and the relationship those fluids and that those etheric forces have on our degeneration and regeneration, potential for regenerating. But there's a lot more to it than that. It can get really esoteric. And then human physics. And I'll take this opportunity talking about physics to say I'm calling these human sciences because we are putting these sciences that do exist out there in the world back into the human organism, where they can come alive and be contextualized to the human being as a being of body, soul, and spirit, as opposed to materialistic organic chemistry or materialistic physics, which doesn't acknowledge a spiritual reality at all. Just an energetic one.
Right.
So human physics is the study of energy, matter, and motion in the human being. But those energies are very spiritual in nature, and we're going to explore them. And then human psychology. So the study of the astral body of the human soul with its 3 activities of thinking, feeling, and willing. So those are the 4 sciences that you would get to learn in the school. And maybe you can start to imagine, if you've been hanging out with me a while, or maybe you're taking or you're interested in taking Kinetix 101, this free course that I offer as an introduction or prep course for coming to an immersion, because I talk a lot about how we use kinetics to resolve pain that has to do with that physics that I just talked about, the kinetic chain, the musculoskeletal system, matter, motion, and energy. I talk a lot about degeneration and regeneration. We can map for that with kinetics. I talk a lot about psychology, someone's beliefs and mindset, and fear of pain and fear of freedom. That's the human psychology side of things, and traumas, of course, fall into that category, and relationship wounds. And then there's pneumatology, and without that, we would have no potential for freedom. And pain and freedom are so closely linked. So that's pneumatology, in many ways, you might say, is literally the science of pain and freedom.
Mm-hmm. How the eye interacts with those phenomena.
Yes. Yeah. It's not the only thing, but that's what I'll be focusing on. So that's all available in the school. The KNT1 events are explicitly kinetics. It's very physical, obviously. It's a lot of technique learning, because you do need to learn the techniques, and then it's learning the mapping method and learning how to actually map the physical body, the etheric body, the astral or soul body, and then the I being spirit, or ego, as that 4th member of the human organism. So there's a lot here to kinetics. There's a lot to kinetics. Am I missing anything, do you think?
I think one thing that maybe would just be good to elaborate on a little bit is learning from the bottom up. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So a lot of people, actually look at kinetics and think it's a bottom-up only modality, because they see the pictures or watch the videos of partner fascia release. And of course, there's no other way to depict kinetics than that visually, because I can't, it would be impossible to take a picture of someone, a practitioner, for example, in their mind, connecting the dots between the person they're stepping on's, their quad fascia, for example, and the fact that they were a soccer player as a kid.
Yeah.
So you can't depict that. You can depict the stepping pretty easily. Forgot.
Bottom up, top.
Bottom up.
Yeah,
okay, thank
top
you.
down.
So a lot of people think that kinetics is bottom up only. It's very body-based. Of course it is. It's body-based. But it's bottom up and then top down. So we do bottom up first, meaning we go to the body for answers. The body doesn't lie. So one of the first principles of the Kinetix method is the body is the rock upon which all illusions, hallucinations, and untruths will shatter. So if you want to know the truth about yourself, go to your body. And this particular way of working with the body flushes out, whatever is hiding in the closets that, if you're ready to look at it, there's no faster way to flush it out that I've ever found.
Yeah.
But if you're not ready, you'll hate it and probably never come back.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think of, it's kind of like, if you just look at it physically, it almost looks like someone with there's a pole with Kinetix, so it almost looks like someone with a staff or a sword or something standing above you. Like that can be a confronting experience.
Michael.
Well, that's another story for a very esoteric day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, yes, it's bottom up and top down. We use all of our faculties. So we're very physical. It requires working physically, intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, verbally, energetically with another person. Both people work at all those levels.
Yeah.
There is no doing Kinetix to people. It's not something you can do to people.
Yeah.
It's something you do with them, and it is participatory and collaborative. And it will not work if it's not participatory and collaborative. And if you just try to step on people and leave them a passive participant, it will not go very well at all. So this is really, Kinetix is for people who like the idea of using all their faculties.
Yeah.
Who like the idea of participating and being collaborative with clients instead of clients being passive recipients of their labor.
Yeah. And I mean, you talked about this before, but most people who are in the client position, actually are almost, when that invitation is there, are almost immediately like, yeah, let's do it.
Yes. Most people, not all, want to participate and be part of the process. We're going to record a whole episode on that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back to the thing I said I would come back to, which is, why do we have people come back to a KNT1 immersion twice? You might come back more than twice, actually. You might come back 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, as many times as you want. If you decide to come back, we do give you, at this time, 30% off. So I'm not promising that forever and ever. It might actually be more in the future if we can pull it off, but I don't want to promise that either. But currently, our policy is to give you 30% off when you come back, because we want to make it affordable for you to come back as many times as you can. And the reason for it is, there are several reasons, but number one, if you're on a path to practitioner and you want to get mentorship with me, 2 of these events or immersions is a prerequisite before you can apply for mentorship. And that is because I want to gauge your progress and see how well you've retained the skills you learned in the first immersion and how you've progressed on your going first journey to get through something and to the other side of it.
Yeah.
With Kinetix. So maybe you're not on the other side of it yet and you need to come back. That would be a reason to come back. Maybe you are on the other side of it and you want to gain higher level skills. So, and come back to have me assess your skill progressions and where you're at, technically speaking, because I'm not going to offer mentorship to you if you didn't retain any of the skills. And I'm basically having to start over teaching you from the beginning again. So these immersions are like all levels jujitsu classes. So that again is this we're breaking the mold because this is really unusual in the healing arts. There's typically level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. And I know I've put someplace, I think like level 1, just to kind of clarify that this is the starting place for people. But level 1 doesn't mean you get a certificate that says you've completed level 1. And then, maybe once we've done enough of this public publicity, helping you understand what kinetics is, I'll stop calling it level 1. And then I would call it an all levels class. And it is all levels, meaning it doesn't matter how skilled you are, you can come back to that one. But I'm not planning to teach like the highest level skills in that class.
Yeah.
Or immersion. But it is for, generally speaking, most levels. And so you might come back, and one of the best ways to learn is to teach. I think this is how you've gotten decent at it, pretty good. You said better than a beginner, but I'd say you're pretty good, like stepping, with me anyway. You don't step on many other people.
Yeah.
But you've had to teach it.
Yeah, I think it's that, and getting stepped on, experiencing it a lot.
And so one of the best ways to learn is to teach. And so if you come back, it's an opportunity to quote unquote teach the new students. And I don't mean literally you teaching the class.
If you've ever been to a jiu-jitsu class, like how this works. It's organic, right? Like, oh, how does this happen? How does that happen? What just happened there? And it's very natural. We want to help each other.
Exactly.
It just happens.
Yeah. So you'll get, I do demos and everybody knows what's happening and what they're supposed to be doing, but then you're partnered up and maybe you're coming back for your second or third immersion and you're paired with a brand new student. Great. That's an opportunity for you to show them the ropes and help them understand what we're doing and how to do it well. And so that's only going to help you, because if you want to be a kinetics practitioner, part of the job of a kinetics practitioner is guiding clients through what we're doing. So teaching them, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to step on you. Then you're going to move your hand like this. And then, and here's what you can expect. And there's a lot of coaching people through movement that's involved. And so if you need to practice your verbal communication, coaching skills, then come back. It's a great place to do it.
Yeah, I think another thing too, and this was somewhat inherent in what you said, but most human beings do not want to master the basics, myself included.
Yes, we want the fancy tricks. We want the black belt. We want to do the kapow, whatever,
Terrifying.
Yeah, but mastery is in the basics.
Yeah.
To be a master is to master the basics. And so these skills that you're going to learn in this immersion are the skills that you will use over and over and over and over and over and over and over in a private practice. And you will occasionally use higher level skills. And so it's also kind of like reading a book that's complicated and difficult to understand, but has real wisdom in it. You might need to read it 5 times.
Yeah.
And when you read it for the 5th time, you'll be like, how did I miss this 4 other times? Like, I've read this book 4 times. I can't believe I'm only just now reading this or remembering that it's in here. Same thing is going to happen when you come back to these events.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's clarifying why we have you come back twice within a year and a half if you want mentorship. This rule only applies if you want mentorship. Otherwise, there are no rules. You get to make them up because we want to encourage you to source authority from within. So if you want to attend only the immersions and you just are not interested in the school, it's totally fine. If you want to attend the school and you don't want to come to immersions, totally fine. But this podcast probably isn't for you. If you want to use this professionally and you don't want mentorship, you can do the immersions and the school and not do mentorship. Totally fine. So the mentorship is where, so I'm going to talk about this and then we'll close out for this podcast episode. So the mentorship is for those of you that want to make a unique promise to your clients so you can make really good money, being the kind of practitioner that I believe the world really needs right now, which is someone who understands deeply a specific phenomena and how to actually get clients' answers and results in the very first session. Then mentorship is where I help you do that. I'm not going to, you're not going to learn how to make a unique promise and deliver on it in a 5-day immersion.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn anything related to professional kinetics, anything in the school, because it's not about kinetics. It's for self-knowledge and the four sciences. And so the mentorship is where I will do everything I possibly can to help you in business, business-wise, the personal development side of doing, being a practitioner, which is huge. You might have fears of success or fear of failure or, self-sabotaging patterns that come up or money issues, because we all do. Like, what's your psychology around money? Do you feel like you're not worthy of the kind of money you actually want to make? So a lot of those things come up for people. What should you price your work at? Should you do packages? How do you structure sessions, from session 1 to session 2 to session 3 to session 4? What if you have a challenging client? What do you do? What if you have clients that aren't getting it, you're just not getting them answers and results? Those are all the kinds of things I'm going to help you with, in addition to the law licensure side of things. If you want to understand how to operate as an unlicensed practitioner, I will help you do that also in the mentorship. So it's kind of for professional development online and the personal development online. And then once a year, we're going to do a practitioner retreat for people in the mentorship in the summer here in Colorado. And that is where I'm going to help you use the mapping methodology, learn it, in order to deliver your unique promise. So you'll actually learn how to do the mapping methodology to deliver on your unique promise. And so it's kind of like, you declaring your major in college or declaring your specialty in med school. So I can only help you and I will only mentor you if you've declared a unique promise. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to share, other than maybe just reiterating, because I think I said this earlier, but it's worth stating again. This is a very different way of approaching a private practice in the healing arts. And it could take 2 to 4 years for you to be able to fully comprehend the phenomena you've chosen to study. And when I say fully, I mean robustly, not in totality, but enough that you can get answers and results for your clients starting in the very first session. This is why it's taken me this long, because I've been teaching a long time now, and you've been with me pretty much from the beginning, Stefan. But this is why it's taken me and us so long, I think, to figure out, like, how do I do this? Because I've tried doing a 10-month program, and it's like, there is no way. The only thing I could hope to do in a 10-month program is teach people techniques, a generic modality, partner fascia release. And
for the record, it is a very good modality as far as modalities go. Like it can help with a lot. I think a lot that we're facing right now, especially EMF in particular, is one thing that has my attention. But yeah, it's a really good modality.
Yeah, but for example, just the modality, and if you feel, and I don't know, maybe we should flesh this out a little bit before closing, but so there's the modality of partner fascia release. Yes, it is amazing. It is, I actually wish this wasn't true because it's very inconvenient, but it is like just last night, I'm confessing, Stefan, I was so desperate, I got on a foam roller and a yoga block and felt no different. Didn't do anything for me. Literally nothing. Did nothing. I spent 30 minutes working on my body. Did nothing. Nothing. Zero. Like I felt no different. Sometimes I'll feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
I felt no different. And it's mostly I feel EMF'd. I get really, I get sluggish blood. I notice even right now, so we have lights in here and like I fantasize about how I could do this podcast without them. Because what happens is it's very unlike me to forget my train of thought. Yep. And that's happened a few times already. And I feel EMF'd right now. Like my eyes are blurry. My brain feels like staticky. Yeah, so it doesn't do anything. So kinetics is the only thing that I've found. Walking on grass doesn't do it. Grounding doesn't do it. Getting out every morning in the sun doesn't do it. I went running this morning. That helped a tiny bit. But kinetics is amazing.
Yeah.
Or I should say the partner fascia release is amazing. But if, let's say, you just learned the techniques, but you didn't know anything about fascia or anything about the nervous system or anything about like why it hurts to get stepped on, and you just start stepping on people, they will absolutely ask you, why does this hurt so bad? And if you can't answer that question with confidence that you actually know what you're talking about, and you know what you're doing, and that hurting someone is necessary, because sometimes it is, but that it's a good hurt, it's not going to harm them, it's not a harmful hurt, they probably won't come back. Like, I don't, maybe they would if they got a really great result for some weird reason. But like, I believe we need to know why we're doing what we're doing, how to interpret what's happening when we're doing what we're doing, and be able to verbally communicate with knowledge grounded in direct experience and intellectual understanding of what's happening when we're stepping on people.
Yeah.
And that requires more than a modality. Because, for example, I learned Rossiter, which is a form of stepping on people, and I learned nothing other than, yeah, it's intense. That's why we play rock music and yell at people so they get through it. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like, it was never explained to us, like, why it hurts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And or why some people hate it and some people like it. That was never explained either. So yeah, I think we need to know. So
I agree.
So we're wrapping this up. Yeah, it'll take 2 to 4 years to be able to make that kind of a unique promise. And when I say 2 to 4 years, I don't mean necessarily, although it could mean this, 2 to 4 years of coming twice a year to KNT1 and in the school and in the mentorship and like paying, tens of thousands of dollars. That's not necessarily what I mean. What I mean is, it could mean that, but it means coming to at least 2 KNT1s, probably going through a year of the school if you want to learn from me anyway about pain science and fascia science and the science of regeneration and why we get sick and how we heal and the nature of the whole human organism and physics and energy and all the things. But then how to actually make that unique promise is going to require you to work with lots of people with that issue before you can make the promise. And actually start to deliver on it in every single first session. So that's going to be a path of apprenticing yourself to the person you want to make the promise to, while working for less money than you're going to be able to work for when you can make the promise and deliver on it, but you're working towards that. So you could start to make money back within a year to 2 years, depending. It really depends. And so actually, this is something I forgot to say that it feels really important. Another thing that we're taking a stand for in the school, and I know, Stefan, you feel strongly about this also, is I want to find out what your unique gifts and talents are.
Yeah.
And nurture them.
Yeah.
Because there's only one of you.
Yep.
And that's why you can make a unique promise. Because there's only one of you. And there's only one of you who's lived through what you've lived through and then gotten to the other side of it with kinetics. There's only, one of you with your unique gifts and talents. And you might be uniquely gifted from a communication standpoint, verbal communication and care, but you might be challenged technically, physically. So we would work on that because I want you to lean into your strengths while having awareness of what your weaknesses are. And you should be making a unique promise that matches your gifts and talents.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that could happen is you tell me or you tell yourself, I want to work with people in pain, like you, Elisha, for example. But maybe you don't have unique gifts and talents that make that accessible to you. And so that would just be something to look at and own. what are your unique gifts and talents? Who should you be working with because it's so natural to you? And so I want to find out what that is. And so we want to tailor your learning process to you, which is really unique. I want to, as within whatever's, within possibility, because it's not, one-on-one, but within the, we're going to do what's possible to tailor kind of a curriculum to each unique student. And I can do that in the mentorship because I'm only going to take on like a certain number of people.
Yeah.
In the mentorship. So I think that's it. Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, so lots more of these episodes on Kinetix coming. Like I said, we're going to dive into all aspects of it. The Kinetix immersions, as I mentioned, aren't a professional training. So if you happen to be listening to this and you're like, I want to be the client on side of things, or I want to participate in this, you can come to KNT1 immersions for personal healing reasons. However, you must also be willing to be a partner to the other people there and actually work with them. So you're not exactly putting on the hat of practitioner, but you are putting on the hat of partner in curiosity, partner in collaborating towards healing and freedom. So you can learn more about the immersions at schoolforlivingscience.com/KNT1. We'll put the link in the description, show notes, and all that, of course. And you can check out everything else I've mentioned also. We'll put all the links in there. Thank you so much for being here. And I really look forward to this series. I'm really excited about it because there's so much to unpack about what Kinetix is, what it offers, and how to actually thrive if you want to become a practitioner who does this kind of work.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you guys and see you next time.
Bye, everyone.